I finished reading Dostoevsky's book Crime and Punishment, and it's one of the most known stories or literature work from Russian literature after War and Peace, and it's one of the most iconic pieces of literature in the world, which is a bit overrated, I think, and yeah, it's brilliant, but a bit rubbish. It's very good, but really poor. And I can tell you why. But I don't want to talk about Crime and Punishment. I want to talk about Brother Karamazov. But it's the same thing. Brothers Karamazov, a crime thriller, except it's not a crime thriller. So what is it? Well, it is about a crime, but the narrator tells you, hold on a minute, this happened, but before I tell you about the crime, let me tell you about why this is happening. Well, let's talk about the history here. And the history is very simple. It's about a man who had 3 children. First child from a marriage, and second marriage and 2 children. The first child abandoned, the other 2 children he also abandoned. He's wealthy, he's well off, but he doesn't care about his children. And the 3 children grow in to be 3 different things, very, very different things. Dmitri, Mitya, the oldest, is very much like his father, a man who likes to enjoy pleasures of life, not interested in anything of value, talks a lot, yeah, full of hot air, but really and truly just likes drinking, likes women, that's about it. The other son is Ivan, educated, well-spoken, definitely atheist, definitely anti-religion, definitely anti-tradition, anti-what is acceptable in society, wants to revolutionize the society. And then there is Alyosha, the third son, the nice, the peaceful, the priest. Yeah, he is a priest. And throughout the story, he's got that constant feature about him, which a lot of the people who like Brothers Karamazov argue how Alyosha and his role in the story is the most important. And for someone like me, who like to be difficult and argumentative, I think it's one of the most interesting roles in the story, Alyosha, the priest, the man that represents what's good about society. Except that the story could do without him, in my humble opinion. So, a crime has happened. The father is killed. Who killed the father? Well, the main suspect is Mita, because he threatened to kill the father. They were fighting over a woman, and he did say he wants to kill the father. And there is every evidence to show that he's the man who did it. But the narrator is telling us that eventually he reveals who is the killer. The killer is Samir Jakov, which is the bastard son of the man, which he did not acknowledge, did not deny that he had a bastard son. But the point is, Samir Jakov admitted doing the murder, and then he died. So he didn't stand trial. Who stands the trial? Dmitri, Mita, and is convicted and sent to Siberia. And justice is served. What is this all about? What's the story about? Again, as I said, on a face value, it's a murder mystery. But if you try to unravel it, and quickly you will find that it's about the Russian society at the end of the 19th century, And you could argue that it's about any society, our society nowadays, and my home background, and I can relate to it at many different levels. It's the same question. What do we value? Russia is the old man who's killed by one of her children, or in this case in the story, by one of his children. Russia's killed by her children. One of them did. One of them did the murder. One of them is accused of the murder. Clearly, the other one contributed significantly to the murder. And of course, the innocent, the good, the peaceful is the priest who decided to leave the church, to walk out of the church and work in the society and spread goodness. And he's the only one who had nothing to do with the murder. Which I disagree. And that's why my view of Brothers Karamazov is slightly unique. Yeah, me. I'm full of myself. Well done me. Ivan sits down with Alyosha, and Ivan's got this fancy story about, he calls it a poem, about the Grand Inquisitor that happened in Spain during the Inquisition. And it's a long story, and it shows how society perceives God and treats religion, and how religion is dissociating itself from God. And God is dead or absent in the church, and it's in the interest of humanity that God is absent, according to the views of the church. And according to the views of Ivan, which he says that, or acknowledges that there is no place for God in society. And that argument is interesting because Alyosha embraces Ivan, gives him a kiss, and does not engage. Now, people walked into different conclusions from that argument, from that discussion. I like to present this idea. If you take a surgical instrument and cut Alyosha from the story completely, remove him, surgically remove Alyosha from the story doesn't change. What does that tell you about his significance and importance in the story? The man's still gonna end up dead. The people who committed the murder will continue to commit the murder. No one's life is saved. And that's an interesting discussion. And I don't know if that was done intentionally or unintentionally. But my point is, there has been always conflict in society between tradition, between the role of religion in society, between modernization, between values and embracing the old or embracing the new or holding tight to the old. And that is always there. How does the society manifest itself? In the extreme case, you end up killing the society itself, like in the murder here, that the father is killed. And that is just in itself food for thought. But one last point.